Start our second panel discussion. Joakim Achren from Elite Game Developers will be moderating the discussion, Why Angel Investing Matters. Just give a moment to get ready and then...
All right, welcome everybody to this show that we're going to be having now regarding angel investing in gaming. So I'm going to start off with a round of introductions. So my name is Joakim Achren. I'm running a company called Elite Game Developers, which is a podcast and a newsletter and a blog on entrepreneurship in gaming. I also do a lot of angel investing, and I'm a venture partner at Play Ventures, which is an early stage gaming venture capital fund. So let's kick it off with the panelists, and can we get an introduction from all of you? Let's start from Nick, you.
Damn it, I knew I made a mistake by sitting on the end. So I'm Nick Button-Brown. I've been in the games industry for a long time. I've started many companies. Some of them have failed, some of them haven't. And I now help out a variety of companies, and I do some angel investing. So I did 14 angel investments last year.
Hello, I'm Lawrence. Lawrence, co-founder of Lenderwize. We are a fintech funding platform for the telecom industry, actually relatively new to the gaming industry. So we provide solutions to cash flow mismatches in games. So if you are selling to insurable clients who's paying you in 60 to 90 days, we can help you. We also have we over 300 million actually in the industry with over 1 billion in funding facilities available. So we are a very strong debt facility provider. Coming back to Société Générale's discussions on debt facilities versus equity. We also have a new fund. No. Thank you. Much better. We also have an equity, relatively small fund. We have recently done an investment in Scooty, which is a very disruptive platform for the gaming industry, which we're very, very happy with because it essentially matches or it offers win-win opportunities for publishers, for gamers, and for aggregators, and for brands, actually. So we also now do equity investments in gaming players.
I'm Cassia, Curran. My background is in business development, corporate development, investor relations for companies such as NetEase and Jagex, investment funds such as Wings, and I run Curran Games Agency, very imaginatively named, where I give strategic advice, business advice to indie game studios. And I also do various angel investments. I've done 3 angel investments in the last year.
Hey everyone, I'm John. I'm the CEO at BoomHits. So my day job, I'm also investing in studios. We're like a VC meets McKinsey. And outside the day job, I exited my first company a long time ago in the early days of WAP when it was basically just AdMob. And since then been angel investing, and as a big source of my deal flow is stood right next to me. So thank you very much for all the work that you do in your syndicate and also personal introductions. So yeah, it's great to be here.
Great. VC meets McKinsey. That's interesting. Yeah, it's true. It could be. Hey, let's not talk about the McKinsey or VCs, but angels. So why should founders pick angel investors? Nick, you go first.
Generally, because we can help. I mean, it's a flippant thing, but I've got so many things wrong. At the very least, I can help you not get the same things wrong that I got wrong. So a big part of it is, a founder will talk to me and, yep, don't do that. I did it. It didn't work. Try something else. So at least you get to make a fresh set of mistakes rather than the same mistakes that I made.
So, thank you. I prefer your mic. So essentially, it depends on at what stage you're at, obviously. Angel investments are perfect for smaller companies, perhaps pre-revenue companies. In fact, I would say a must for pre-revenue companies. It depends on at what stage you're at. Angel investments are smaller investments. They're earlier investments. With individuals, I agree with Nick, with investments which can, by angels that can also play an active role in contributing with ideas, with contacts. So an angel investor is fundamental in my belief. But once again, if you are generating a lot of revenues, then you probably want to go towards a VC or a more structured, which has much bigger investment power.
Yeah, I mean, angel investments can be small, but they can be incredibly impactful when you're a very early stage company. Just having someone who believes in you enough to be putting some of their hard-earned money into your company, that can really form a fantastic basis for going on to the next stage of VCs and just, you know, the next 6 months of your company, helping to scale to that point. I think it can be a really critical, really game-changing investment and first step for many small companies.
Yeah, I think early on with angels, it's you know, of course it's about the money, but it's definitely the expertise, right? Whether it's like game design, whether it's distribution. But I completely agree. Actually, just a great example from recently. I think it's just also just a shoulder to be there. Like one of the studios I've been advising about 4 years, we just closed our first 7-figure seed round, and just probably twice a week, just for 20 minutes, the CEO just like venting down the phone at me about what was discussed on the phone versus the term sheet he got, and a lot of swearing in a different language. So it sounded quite nice to me, actually. It sounded quite poetic. But yeah, just also again been there, done that, and just a bit of mental support, because you know, I think I can see a lot of you in this room, like being the CEO of a startup or the CEO of a public company is bloody hard, right? And so I just think having someone that is, you know, vested in you, but also emotionally detached from the business, just to be there for you is, you know, is incredibly valuable.
Yeah, I like when I get involved with companies, I basically always want to have that open line of discussion. So I'm like the hotline for the founders to ask for like troubleshooting. So I think the word troubleshooting comes to mind as like, let's figure things out together so you're not alone, because building companies can be pretty lonesome thing if you don't have really good investors and teammates on board.
Definitely feel like a therapist sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, there's an interesting trend recently. So some of the VC funds are inviting angels into later rounds, and we've both participated, but that's, so they're wanting to bring in the connections, the networking, just the general understanding of the business and kind of helping with advice. So VCs are putting in kind of 40 million rounds and carving out a little bit, just a little bit, but then looking for angels to kind of get involved and be there to support and help. And I think so far it seems like it's working out pretty well.
Yes. Hey, another topic that's keen for people in the audience for sure is like, what really matters the most in a company that you're evaluating for an investment? What is the few things that you really want to nail down there? Let's start with John.
I mean, everyone says it's the cliche. You're looking at the founding team. You know, for me personally, prerequisite of having shipped a live product is not necessary. Versus some of my peers, it is. I've got quite a healthy appetite for risk. You know, depending on,
I've got a startup. Is the, you know?
Yeah. Is it blockchain? If it's not blockchain, I'm not interested. I think, yeah, I really buy into people. I just think, you know, a bit like when you meet people, you can probably tell in the first, I don't know, minute or so how this is going to go. And just some people have just got just that unbelievable vision. I also like quite technical people. I'm not a deeply technical person, and usually there's, you know, I think it's always great. I had my business with a co-founder. So I invested in a company recently, and the CEO was a real visionary, but the person I was listening to was the CTO. and I didn't really understand 95% of what that person was saying. But to Nick's example, they came from a VC doing the Series A, and I just WhatsApped them afterwards and said, right, I'm in, because CEO is a visionary and has just got that drive, and I can see people buying into him. But the CTO was just an absolute wizard, both in terms of product, but what really got me was that same product logic to their interview process. And I just love that obsession with detail. So yeah, for me, it doesn't matter if you haven't started a company before. I'd never started a company when I did my first one, and someone backed us. But yeah, just give us the vision really quickly, and let me meet your CTO.
Yeah, it's definitely about the team, 100%. So I definitely look for for teams that are super smart and super full of energy, like having that drive and the ability to work really hard, because starting companies is so difficult. And I think with that kind of those sort of really strong fundamental characteristics, they, even if their idea ends up not working out, they are able to make the right choices to pivot in the right direction. Whereas some other opportunities you might find, you really believe that they've got the right vision, but you're not believing in a team. And when that happens, I don't invest, because I think fundamentally the team is the ultimate arbiter.
I'll show you your mic this time. So yes, I totally agree with this, with everything that's been said. Of course, it has to be a great idea. There has to be a good team that's capable of deploying, because of course you can have a fantastic idea, but if you can't deploy, you won't get very far. So the technology and the CDO is fundamental. But I think in terms of choosing, in the end, it comes down to gut feelings. How good is that idea, and how probable are they going to be able to deploy it and to make it become a reality? And how much are they doers? Because a lot of people can talk, a lot of people can dream, but you have to be a doer. And to be a doer, you have to be a problem solver, which means you have to be able to think outside the box also. And so that's what we really look for. We look for the ability to look outside the box and to do things.
Most investors will tell you they apply a rational set of rules and analysis to making their investment decisions. That's just not true. Generally, you make an emotional connection. So you make an emotional connection, and then you will provide evidence to support that first gut reaction. So the most important thing for me is actually that story, is kind of engaging me with your story of why you're creating your business, why what you're doing is really cool and really exciting. Because ultimately, I'm going to go and talk to my friends about the really cool thing that I've done. So if you give me a bunch of ammunition as to why your thing is the coolest thing, then I'm much more likely to say yes. So apologies for overuse of the word cool.
Yeah, so many good points. I think one thing I would add is also, I really love to follow the team a bit, like how they're talking, what they're doing, how they start executing, like team building. Usually it's a few founders in the early stages, but then sometimes you don't really need it, because you can see it that like these people know what they're going to be doing really well. But yeah, it really depends.
But I mean, that's the same for VCs. That's for everyone. You're much more engaged if you followed the story, if you've spoken to them 6 months before, gave them some feedback. That doesn't mean they have to have done your feedback.
Yeah.
But at the very least, you see how they've evolved over time and go, actually, so they thought about it and they went in this way.
Yeah. Can you talk about how angel investing is or can shape the games industry? Because we've seen a lot of models in gaming. You have publisher funding, all sorts of crowdsource funding, you have VC, but then like angel investing is getting more prominent now. How do you see it shaping up the industry? Cassia, can you?
I think it means that it's a bit easier for early stage companies to kind of get that traction, especially ones which potentially lack that are new, that lack a bit of experience, but if they connect with angels, that can really help them take that first step to strength. And angels can also help them connect with the important potential hirees, etc. So I think, like from macro scale, just helps a lot with new startups and helping them thrive. You don't have to have like a massive VC like backing you. That's like a prerequisite for success. You can actually just start off with some angel help.
I mean, I guess so I set up a loose angel network, nowhere near as organized as Joakim's. His is really good. But the reason why I did it was I really struggled to get angel money. And that early stage, that it's really, really difficult to get going. And in the end, I know I raised angel money, but it was people that I knew and people that they knew. And that feels like a terrible way to select businesses just based on the people that you know. So part of my reason for setting up an angel network was so it wasn't quite so the people that you know, and it should be a wider group and hopefully a more diverse group. Without that first stage and that help and that advice, it's really, really difficult to get to the stage where the VCs will give you the money. VCs are very, very picky. So yeah, you just need some help to get to the stage where you can get access to the rest of the money.
Yeah, I think you touched on it earlier, Nick. I think an interesting dynamic now is with all the amazing entrepreneurs in gaming and the exits, that you're seeing some of the VCs. I think on the one hand, they work very collaboratively with angels, but also these super angels now that are deploying very sizable checks to displace where VCs may have even come in at seed round. So for me, I think it's just such an exciting time to be founding a games company, because I think, one, the angel, if I can call it that, infrastructure is there with all these amazing syndicates and Telegram groups and WhatsApp groups now. Like for me personally, deal flow has never been easier, like borderline distraction at the moment with blockchain. But I also, generally now it's just amazing just to see how the games industry continues to help each other. As I said, I've just been amazed at some of these like seed checks that are being written now by gaming founders. So I just love the fact that as a gaming community, everyone is just supporting each other, right? They've had a great exit and that money and expertise is coming straight back into the ecosystem to support the next wave of startups. So yeah, for me, it's great.
So I agree with you, John. There is kind of an infrastructure in this whole angel network world. I totally agree with that, actually. And I urge any founder to look towards some of these networks. Actually, it wasn't too long ago that we fundraised. It feels like ages ago, but we've gone through the whole phase from friends and family to angel networks. We did a very successful fundraise multiple times with Angel's Den, which is one of the biggest angel networks here in Europe. We've done it so with Keiretsu Forum in the States. And in Australia, actually, very successful, and which led us to significant institutional investments. So the angel networks provide security for the investors, for the angels, and it facilitates for the founder the whole move from friends and family to semi-official or semi-institutional. With greater structure. And so I think angel networks are absolutely very instrumental, and they're growing very quickly because there's a lot of money out there. And yes, they are syndicating and they are becoming a team which helps each other. And I think that's very useful.
Hey, John, you already mentioned blockchain a few times. I think you have something to say to this next one. So because we're here at Pocket Gamer, which has traditionally been very much focused on the mobile games industry, and now we're seeing this new genre, or I would say even a platform in a sense, emerging through blockchain gaming. Like, how do you panelists look at blockchain gaming now? How do you evaluate a team that is pitching a crypto project, which is new and fresh and still evolving? Like, who wants to go first?
Yeah, you can go first, John.
Do it.
Can you just hold my hand while I just...
We're all just stepping back.
Okay, here's my therapy session. Welcome. Look, it's incredibly exciting. With every opportunity, you get opportunists, right? So I see a couple of challenges as an industry. I'm seeing a lot of presentations I say presentation because I think calling them a white paper would be flattery, but a lot of presentations from especially free-to-play games companies that have struggled in free-to-play gaming, maybe got quite tired, and it's like, oh look, I can sell some NFTs and make loads of money really quickly, and I think that's always going to be a challenge. I think for like the gaming VCs and people that work in gaming, we're going to see through that pretty quickly, because for me, you still need to make a game, right? Fundamentally, right? Not just a NFT that you might be able to make a bit of money from. But for me, it's even harder than, I mean, the kind of, it's almost like you have the day job in like mobile gaming, and now you're having to learn by doing with these blockchain projects. So what I'm seeing is the same rules apply if you're raising a game for like a mobile or console game, is, like the team and experience. And I think at least having someone in the team or some advisors that have got really strong knowledge of blockchain, and you can see that in 2 minutes if you read a white paper and look at the tokenomics. You can just see instantly when you're talking to the CEO if they have anyone like that around them. But from a cynical, ruthless investing point of view, I can also see the upside, right? Because unlike angel investing in a traditional approach, you're probably doing it with a 5, 6, 7 year lens, whereas with these blockchain games, I see the appeal, right? You can get in, if you back the team, you could have a very interesting exit in 12, 18 months. So, I also see the investment appeal there, but it still comes with huge risk.
It's a personal taste. I don't particularly like blockchain pitches where there's a reliance on the value of the NFT increasing. If that's your business model, I'm not a big fan, but I do love interoperability. I love where NFTs are adding permanence, transferability. Am I allowed to name check you? No, he's not. Yeah, so David's a big fan of interoperability, and when he came to talk about that, it's like, well, the business model makes sense to me, and it's not just reliant on that steadily increasing value. There is a reason for the NFT outside of that increasing value. But that's my personal take, and every angel is slightly different. Some angels won't touch NFTs at all, and some angels will now only touch NFTs. I do own some NFTs, which was kind of a bit weird to go out and buy an NFT. I felt I had to do it to at least try. So yes, I am the proud owner of a number of pets.
I got gifted one of those ape NFTs.
You got stuff for free?
Yes, I got gifted. Oh. Well, I say gifted, but I was gifted it on proviso that any profits I made from selling it, I would then invest in games made by people from marginalized backgrounds. So yeah, I'll have to do some more angel investments there.
Well, you really managed to turn that around. Well done, Cassia.
There you go. So I'm actually really fascinated by the whole blockchain stuff. I've been looking into it, reading up about it. Yes, now I own NFTs and all this sort of thing. I'm still making up my mind, honestly. And I don't think I will personally make angel investments in any blockchain game in the near future, but that might change. I don't know. I haven't made my mind up yet, so we'll see.
So I think this topic is a harder topic actually to discuss. If I were to use the hat of equity versus lending or debt facilities, we're not doing debt facilities for a blockchain gaming, but we could do an angel investment. And the reason we wouldn't do the institutional investment is because we think it's higher risk. And it's also a technology which is changing rapidly, and the underlying assets are changing rapidly, which is sort of coming back, I guess, to what Nick was saying in the beginning, is that when value changes so rapidly and without necessarily having a logic behind that change, it becomes higher risk.
I think we're going to be in an interesting position talking about blockchain in a year already, because it's moving so fast. So let's come back to this next year.
And John and I will either be smiling or Cassia will be smiling.
Yeah, let's see who's going to be smiling. So just like one topic that really comes a lot to me, founders reaching out on social media, asking me, Like, do I know any angel investors they should be talking to? Because like, it is a fact that VCs are really good at getting the message out that they're looking for companies. They have websites, they do a lot of PR, and then it comes to like gaming angels who really don't have that kind of like presence where they're promoting their own investment, sort of being actually an investor. Like, how do you think founders should go out and find angels who are doing gaming investments?
I think that they should be looking for people that they want as advisors and then asking them to do angel investments is one track of doing it. Because I think the fundamental value that comes from angel investment is the advisory aspect. So thinking about it from that perspective, rather than necessarily going through angel networks, although there are angel networks now that can be tapped into by yourself or by Nick, for example. So that is one route.
Any thoughts?
I mean, I have a truly lousy website that I did in about half an hour.
Oh, you do?
I do, but I haven't answered it because it's scary.
Okay.
I mean, it is, you know, there is a reasonable amount of pipeline. There is this idea that we kind of know each other. So once you're into it, it's easier to kind of get passed around. So it's finding your person who can be your lead. And to Cassia's point, actually the best way to do it is have somebody who you want to help you. And if they're advising you, then they will, you know, if Cassia comes to me with something, then I will listen to. It doesn't mean I'll say yes, but the fact that she has spent time on it, that's a really good indicator to me. So I will then spend time on it. And then because I'm spending time on it, maybe I share it with Joakim, and Joakim then spends time on it. And it does connect, but you do need that first person to believe that your idea is worthwhile and worth spending time on.
Yeah, I think building on that, one way to save time as well, it comes on to focus, is you don't need like 50 angels to start with, right? I think if you are really clear on who you want and you can close a couple of those, that then gives you a lot of momentum, right? As we've just said, because they will then bring others. So I think as a founder, you can waste an awful lot of time. But also, I also just enjoy the tenacity of a founder, right? Like, you know, you want to try and build a company, and some people are just very tenacious, right? Just accessing you on every single form of social media, some you even forgot about a long time ago. But I also respect that immensely, but that would also be my advice, which is what we've just said, is you can just waste a huge amount of time. I think once you've got the right collection of 2 or 3 and closed a small amount of initial money, that then completely changes your outreach strategy, right? Because you can then, with their permission, name who those angels are, how much you've got committed, and then all of a sudden, perhaps those people, if you had have just cold emailed first, would have ignored you. I would say there's a 50% chance they're then going to reply to you based on, depending on who those names are. So I think there's also a little bit of art to a strategy. And I also apologize to Joakim because he tweeted that this morning and I just stole it.
Yeah, they're free. You can just pick them.
So I guess the question is, are VCs more public than angels? I guess that's basically the question. Sure, of course they are. It's their business. An angel might be doing something, an investment part-time, of course. So crowdfunding platforms are definitely key and instrumental if you're seeking angel investments, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if there are thematic angel networks for gaming, actually. I should know. There are for fintech, there's for insurtech, there are the syndications, I totally agree. If there isn't one for game tech or for gaming, we should all sit down and talk about it and probably create one. Because... Excellent, good. And it makes sense because the need is there. The resources are there, and so it makes sense to really be as thematic as possible.
I mean, I've got just one thing is that I have there's good points and bad points to me being very public about doing angel investment. And one bad thing about being public about angel investment is that you get a lot of people coming up to you essentially begging you to angel invest, and often you just don't have the time to engage. But for me, I kind of feel a little bit of a duty to be quite public about it because just to be really blunt, there's not that many women of color doing angel investment in the game space. And actually it kind of helps with deal flow a little bit. Yeah, with I feel like a sort of duty in terms of representation, just to be a bit more public and potentially bring more people from more diverse backgrounds into angel investment as well.
Yeah, I think it is worth realizing, whereas it's a VC's job, for all of us, it's a hobby. You know, it's not our full-time day job. We're doing it and we fit it in around other things. So yeah, the VCs have people that are paid to just receive the incoming submissions. Every incoming submission that we look at is our personal time.
Yeah. Since we have some time, I'm gonna also chip in with this, because I remember like 2 years ago when I was getting like really sort of more into this angel investing stuff, and I was talking to some founders who had raised angel rounds in Finland, like mobile studios, and there's this thing in Finland called Finland Business Angels like network, where people had pitched, and I was reaching out to the people who had invested into these companies, and you had like dentists and lawyers, and you talk to them like, so are you looking at doing more deals? And they were like, no, like I burnt all the money already. I put money into this studio and it went like, you know, under, and I didn't get anything out of it. So I'm not gonna touch gaming anymore. And that same message came to me like 10 times from people. So I think like in this space, if you have the domain expertise as an angel, that matters so much, like that you're gonna be betting even though it fails.
Yeah, if you're in the UK, there's a UK Business Angels Association, which is the kind of trade body behind angels groups. I've raised money from non-gaming angels, but it wasn't easy. Yeah. And it relied on me finding an evangelist within that angel group. So I've done it twice and it's worked, but it's really hard. But I do think it's changing. So, you know, lockdown made people outside of the games industry much more interested to it. It's just how you get to them. And often the easiest way to get to them is to have some people with recognizable names that are saying they're backing you. You know, there are some great, very well-known kind of British angels who, you know, to be honest, if certain one of them signs a check, then your round is done. Yeah. You know, they're not giving you the whole amount, but then like 15 people go, yeah, please let me in. That's how it worked, wasn't it, David? Yeah. So yeah, and then hopefully there's access. You know, I think we're all in conversations about trying to get access to some of that other money and trying to get them to follow, and maybe something will happen, but it takes time. Sorry.
Yeah. And there's plenty of money in the game space now. There's plenty of people interested in angel investing. I think every single time you drop a deal, there's just like, it's just gone. Spaces within angel syndicate, it's just gone within half an hour.
Yeah.
So I don't think you even need to look outside. What's the value that a non-gaming angel would give to a gaming startup? I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. Final question. I wanted to hear your thoughts. This is one of my podcast questions that I always ask from investors. I think, what is one founder characteristic that you look for in founders that points to some kind of future success? John, you go first.
Humility. I think, I mean, similar to what Nick said earlier, like, I mean, it's very easy to talk about your successes, but like, when you failed, like, why did you fail and what did you learn? I think that's the most important thing. You know, I make mistakes every day, and I think the most important thing is you know why. So for me, it's just the humility to know, like, why you failed. It's okay to fail, and then what you did to correct it. You know, particularly if you've had you know, I think most of us here have had at least one startup that failed miserably. But the important thing is you learn from that and take that into your next company. And for me, you know, it's just about mitigation of risk. When I hear something like that, that's just a big tick in the box for me about this founder, and you know, de-risking that investment.
I'm going to cheat a little bit and use two, which is guts and smarts. So, you know, the guts take risks, but being smart about it, making the smart decisions. Yeah, those two things I think are the most important for me, what I'm looking for.
Sheer bloody mindedness. I mean, being a CEO is crap. It's a horrible job. You're on your own. You feel responsible for anything. If you have any empathy for other people, it's just like you're carrying a weight on your shoulders all the time. So just being able to keep going through those, and you find ways to cope, but you've just got to keep going sometimes.
Yeah, so the bottom line is, are you a doer? Are you a problem solver? Are you ready to take risks, but mitigated risks at the same time? So, because obviously we all make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you're not doing something, probably. So you have to do things, and you have to risk making mistakes as long as you learn from them and don't repeat them. So essentially, it's a combination of all these factors put together, but I agree, it's got to be within a risk mitigating logic, because we can't be crazy. Obviously, we can't be jumping into things without backup plans. Backup plans are fundamental all the time.
I was going to say also, don't be a git. Well, no, because I'm going to have to spend a bunch of time with you, so I'm going to spend time with people that I actually like. It's for fun. I'm doing this for fun. This is my hobby.
Same goes the other way around, by the way.
But no, that is absolutely right. If you hear of an angel investor who's a git, don't go with them.
It is. Yeah. Hey, thanks for the panel. Can we do questions? Like, is that like format here this time around? Yeah. Okay. Questions.
So I've raised money in Norway, a place where it's really hard to raise money for games because nobody knows anything about game investments. And I found that I can, in Norway at least, raise some governmental funds and some friends and fools and angels. But then there's a gap, which is really hard to close, and that's between like €1 million and €2-3 million. There's just nobody there. Is that the same in UK, other places?
There's a couple of funds that operate at that level. There's not enough, but I mean, Play is about
Play
that
Ventures.
level.
Yeah.
Sisu, Moonfire. There still needs to be more. You're definitely right. There's a gap. There's a not big enough to do the kind of 5 million round.
There's starting to be more V games.
Yeah, it's getting better. The same way there are now more angels, there are more funds at that level, and it's changing all the time.
You do have to look outside of Norway. I don't know why Norwegian investors are just interested in oil and like energy sources, but yes, Sweden is right next door, and it's got a really vibrant games industry, and then Norway's like, but I hope you can change that.
I mean, I don't think we really have geographical boundaries anymore. I invest in a variety of different countries. You do.
Maybe some legal like shenanigans.
There are benefits.
Yeah.
I mean, there's tax benefits to investing in the UK.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's European. Do we get that much American?
Yeah.
There's time zone kind of concerns, but yeah, like you can look.
And all Americans are gits. Oh no, I say that out loud. They're not. I love them. Some of them are my good friends.
Yeah, they're great. So, are we out of time? Yes. All right. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.